All right, so we're going to start talking about some of the metrics you can use. I'm going to do 2 pages at once here just so you guys can see it. So the first thing we're going to look at is lift. This is the ratio of confidence and support. The second one is interest factor. Interest factor basically just looks at, if you're using binary variables, this is what we typically use. And it basically says the support of x and y divided by the support of x times the support of y. Basically what it's doing is it's saying, are these two things independent of one another? That's what lift looks at as well, multiplied by the number of transactions. If you go in and write out, what the item set counts are and things like that, that's really what you're looking at. Here, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're going to create these things, but what it is if the interest factor is equal to 1, then x and y are independent. Basically what it means is x and y occur randomly. It doesn't matter if you have x then y. Basically what's going to happen is they're going to occur together. If x and y are less than 1, then the combination happens less than if the two sets were independent. What that indicates in things like this are people are intentionally not purchasing these two things together. Think about it as 2 types of shampoo. You would intentionally not purchase 2 types of shampoo together, right? Think of it as, 2 things that just don't go well together when mixed. Milkshakes and beer or something like that. Like 2 things you are intentionally not buying together. If x and y happen greater than 1, what it's saying is no, people are intentionally purchasing these things together. They're buying them just to use them together or because one needs the other. Think of it as hamburger buns and hamburgers. People typically buy them together, right? You need them to go together, or you can need them to go together. I'll say that's one way to talk about it. But the idea behind it and what you're going after in these settings is, are these things being pushed away from each other or purchased together? And if they're supposed to be purchased together and not being purchased together, maybe that leads you to something. You need to ask questions about your price point, or you need to come in and understand, are you not marketing this appropriately? What's going on? What this does, guys, and what unsupervised learning does is a lot of the time it creates more questions than it does answers. It gives insight. It gives you things to go investigate. Think about principal components when we were looking at outliers. What do those outliers mean in that case? Here, when we're talking about what do lift and interest factor mean, well, what are they doing? Why aren't people purchasing this together? Maybe we need to go out and do a market study to understand it. But what this can do is that it can allow you to see things that actually matter. Now, some other metrics you can use, just to be safe, here's a way to do 2 binary variables. It's the calculation of correlation between 2 binary variables. It's called psi. We should note this works well with binary symmetric variables. It's called co-occurrence. It's something you can do if you want to. I've never found it useful yet. It's something you should know it exists because there's an option in R for it. But other than that, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if you ever see it, know it does. If you ever see a need, know that it does exist. So you're going to define a set A and A complement, and basically what you're going to do is say, here's how everything works. If we do the contingency table, here's X and X complement, Y and Y complement, and you're going to calculate the correlation. Here's the correlation of 2 binary variables, and you move on from there. It's a formula and a table, guys. It doesn't mean a whole lot to you. So in those cases, that's what you're dealing with. That's what you're looking for. If you ever need it, here's how you would do it. But it's time to move on to an example. So let me know if you need anything.